Hello everybody, ciao a tutti, ciao a tutti. Avete visto che sorpresa? What a surprise, I have a surprise for you. I have two of you. I invited them to drink a coffee with me. Okay, and to see your progress, because now in this lesson they will talk about everything they do and they will use all the things we learned in 11 lessons. The title of this 12 lesson lesson 12 of One Word Italiano video is chi sei, di dove sei, che cosa fai. Okay, you can also watch the same course in our YouTube channel. If you want explanations in Italian, you can find it, okay? But now, what are we going to learn today? First of all, we are together with two nice people, and they will talk about themselves, and they will talk about everything they do using all the things we've learned in 11 lessons. Second thing, okay, we will discover their names, where they are from, okay, what they do in their life and in their spare time, and also they will talk about their experience in studying Italian. Benissimo, okay, now let's start. You know my name, you know me. Io mi chiamo Veronica, ok? Io sono Veronica. Who are you? What's your name? Tu chi sei?
Sono Gilberto.
Bene, lui è Gilberto. Bene, tu come ti chiami?
Io mi chiamo Susanna.
Lei è Susanna. Abbiamo Gilberto e Susanna. Benissimo. Ok, seconda cosa. Voi mi conoscete. Io sono italiana e sono sarda. Adesso vediamo di dove sono loro, where they are from. Tu Gilberto, di dove sei? Where are you from?
Io sono francese.
Lui è francese, he is French. E tu Susanna, di dove sei? Where are you from?
Io sono slovacca.
Ok, she's from Slovacchia, lei è slovacca. Benissimo. Allora, parliamo adesso, quindi abbiamo visto chi sono e di dove sono. Vediamo un po' che cosa fanno nella vita. Anzi, prima vediamo dove abitano. Sapete che io abito a Cagliari. I live in Cagliari, ok? Tu Gilbert, dove abiti?
Io abito 40 ans.
Ok, lui abita a 40 ans. He lives in 40 ans. Tu dove abiti Susanna?
Io abito a Detva.
Ok, lei abita a Detva. She lives in Detva. Benissimo, vediamo adesso che cosa fanno i nostri amici nella vita. What they do in their life. Ok? La mia professione, my profession is Italian teacher, ok? And then we will discover what they do. Tu che cosa fai? What do you do?
Io sono pensionata. Tu.
Pensionato, bravissimo. Lui è pensionato. Ok, he doesn't work. He's finished working. E tu che cosa fai, Susanna?
Io sono hostess.
Lei è hostess, ok? Flight assistant. Benissimo, perfetto. Un'altra cosa, da quanto tempo studiate l'italiano? How long have you been studying Italian? I'm Italian mother tongue, and you, how long have you been studying Italian? Da quanto tempo, Gilbert, studi l'italiano?
Io studio l'italiano una settimana.
Bravissimo Gilberto, lui studia l'italiano da una settimana. He studies Italian since 1 week and is very good. E tu Susanna, da quanto tempo studi l'italiano? How long have you been studying Italian?
Io studio l'italiano da un mese.
She studies Italian since 1 month. Benissimo. Now let's talk about spare time. Okay, first of all, I'm talking about my spare time, and then I will ask them about their spare time. Ok, che cosa faccio nel tempo libero? Io faccio tante cose, do a lot of things. For example, tra i miei impegni di lavoro, between my work commitments, io have a walk. Vado in centro, I go to the center of Cagliari. Cosa faccio? Vado sulla spiaggia, I go to the beach, ok? E cosa faccio? Vado in palestra, I go to the gym. Vado a ballare in discoteca, I go to a nightclub, ok? I do a lot of things, but when I stay at home, quando sto a casa, ok? Io leggo, I read a book. Io ascolto musica, I listen to music. Va bene, io guardo la TV, I watch TV, I surf the internet, io navigo su internet, tra i miei amici io ho tanti amici di altri paesi e chatto con loro, ok? Among my friends there are a lot of foreign people and I chat with them. Okay, this is an example of my spare time. Bene, now let's see their spare time. For example, Gilberto, che cosa fai nel tempo libero?
Adesso vivo in una barca e viaggio per il Mediterraneo.
Oh, bello!
Sì.
He lives in a boat and he travels through the Mediterranean Sea. Lui vive in una barca e viaggia per il bellissimo mar Mediterraneo. Molto bello! Bellissimo! Susanna, che cosa fai nel tempo libero? What do you do in your spare time?
Nel tempo libero viaggio, nuoto e ascolto la musica.
Okay, and she travels, she listens to music, and she likes swimming. Ok, lei nuota, ascolta musica e viaggia. Molto bene Susanna, bravissimi, very 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 good. Ok, avete finito il caffè?
Sì.
Grazie.
Ok, prego, grazie a voi della compagnia. Ok, benissimo, quindi adesso sappiamo tante informazioni anche sui vostri amici, sui nostri amici, e hanno imparato molte cose, they learned a lot of things in these lessons. Ciao ragazzi, ciao
Sì.
Gilberto,
Sì.
ciao, ciao
Ciao.
Susanna, grazie mille.
Ciao.
Grazie, ciao, ciao ciao ciao. Bene, abbiamo conosciuto due persone molto simpatiche. We met two very nice people. But what have we learned today? A lot of things. Okay, first of all, most important thing, prepositions. Simple prepositions. So they are very useful to talk about space and time. Okay, and to describe a lot of situations. Benissimo. And second thing, we reviewed all the irregular and regular verbs. Bene, let's start with simple prepositions, preposizioni semplici. Okay, first of all, the preposition di. Okay, we use the preposition di with il verbo essere, the verb to be. Okay, io sono di Cagliari. I am from Cagliari, okay? Because it means a belonging. I belong to Cagliari. Bene, it's appartenenza means to belong. So I belong to Cagliari. Io sono di Cagliari. This book belongs to me. Il libro di Veronica, ok? Benissimo. We can also use di when I explain when I talk about something that is made of something. For example, la tazzina di ceramica. This cup is made of pottery, ok? Benissimo. Preposition a. I use, for example, I live in Cagliari, io vivo a Cagliari, ma io vado a Roma, I go to Rome, okay? I use a with the names of cities or also small villages. Bene, and I use a plus infinitive form, for example, io vado in discoteca a ballare. Ok, I go to the disco to dance. Io vado in biblioteca a studiare. Ok, I go to the library to study. sometimes there is a rule, because we are talking about rules. When I have a city, I usually use a Cagliari, a Roma, a New York, and il libro di Veronica. These are rules, but sometimes with preposition we don't have rules. We just have to remember that you have to use this preposition with this place. For example, a casa, a scuola, a teatro, and there is no rule for these words, okay? Why a casa but in discoteca? Here we have no rule, okay? Bene. And what else? Preposition da, la preposizione da. I wrote provenienza, to come from. I use da with the verb venire, to come from. Per esempio, io vengo da Cagliari. Va bene? We can also talk about time with the preposition da. We talked about the students. For example, one of the two friends we had before, and she said studio l'italiano da un mese. Susanna said I study Italian since 1 month. Okay? And Gilberto said studio l'italiano da una settimana. I study Italian since 1 week. Okay? And a casa di, when I go to somebody else's place, okay? Io vado da Anna, okay? Io vado da Marco, okay? I go Anna's place or Marco's place. Bene, this is preposition da. Preposition in, ok? Io abito in Italia, io abito in Sardegna. Nazioni e regioni. This is a country and this is a region. Bene. I use preposition in with means of transport. Io vado in autobus. Io vado in treno, in tram, in macchina, by car, in taxi, in moto, in bicicletta, I go by bicycle, in aereo. Abbiamo detto in treno, with means of transport, okay? Also with the months of the year, okay? In gennaio, in febbraio, in marzo, in January, in February, in March, and also with names of places without rule, like preposition a. In biblioteca, in the library, in vacanza, okay, holidays, in centro, in the center, va bene? Now we have con, it's very simple, with, it means with, okay? I can use it with persons or with things. For example, io esco con gli amici, I hang out with my friends. Or I can say, io mangio una bistecca con insalata e patate, ok? Bene? We have su, it means sopra, on. For example, su questo tavolo ci sono molte cose. On this table there are many things. Bene. We have a purpose, a motivation to do an action. For example, io compro un regalo, I buy a present per te, per il mio amico, for you, for my friends, ok? Benissimo. So, per il compleanno, for my friend's birthday. So I use per, yes, like for, when I have a purpose. And finally, we have tra and fra. Okay, we can translate with between or among. I can talk about with tra and fra. They have the same meaning. About space and time. Okay? About space, for example, I've said among my friends vado a casa. In 1 hour I go home. If now it's 7:15, in 8:15 I go home. Benissimo. Now you're able to use simple prepositions. You're able to talk about a lot of things. Where you go, what you do in your life, in your spare time, a lot of things. And as usually, very easy, funny, and in a couple of minutes. So, ciao a tutti, arrivederci alla prossima. Continue visiting our website, One World Italiano Video.